Hey everyone, welcome back to 996. The Howl decided to put aside my dislike for the preseason and tune in for the first ever NHL preseason game in Salt Lake City featuring their own NHL team. I know they've had previous preseason games in the past with different teams, but for the Utah Hockey Club, their first home preseason game, their second preseason game of this preseason. They won Sunday night against St. Louis 5-3, I believe that game was. I caught 2 periods of that game. They played all right, but this was the big one. This was a huge moment for the state of Utah and the city of Salt Lake City, and you got to tune in. It's a historic moment, and it's a big moment for this franchise, just turning over the page and starting a new leaf for all of these players and seeing how they're going to be received by the fan base. I thought it was a great crowd, very electric. The first period, if they could bottle in that experience in the first period and, just sell that on the street, I'm sure everyone will become addicted to that. It's unfortunate the game didn't really carry over that first period magic throughout the whole game. So let's get into it here. It's a preseason. Maybe it's a way for you to get familiar with these game review type videos, which I do for almost every regular season game. I made sure to do at least the home opener for the preseason game. So let's get into it here. Shots were 0-0 in this first period. In the first 6 minutes of the game, it was pretty sloppy by both teams. It was like pond hockey out there. The puck was bouncing everywhere. Players overskating the puck. On paper, the Utah team was way better than the LA Kings roster. I mean, they were stacked. Utah had their top line of Keller, Hayden, and Schmaltz. They had Michelli, Krause, Kerfoot, Josh Stone. On the back end, they had Sergachev, Dursey, Valimaki, Lamoureux, which I'm learning now it's pronounced Lamoureux and not Lamoureux, even though I prefer to pronounce it Lamoureux. I guess got to change it to Lamoureux. And they had Connor Ingram in net. It felt like LA had a bit of an edge in the early first period here. They outshot Utah 6-1. They had a partial breakaway. There's an LA Kings player all alone in front of Ingram. Ingram had to make a big save to stop it there. And when it was getting a bit like, where's Utah? I mean, Utah had a way better roster than LA. Where is everybody? And then they get on the power play and the magic happens. Krause scores a first ever goal for the Utah Hockey Club at home in an NHL game, albeit it is preseason, so it is unofficial and it won't count in the history books. His goal was assisted by Dursey and Michelli. Michelli was a magician this whole game. I think Michelli was the best Utah player in this game. I was mentioning him in that Gunther video I just posted a couple days ago. This guy is worth $7 million as well. It's unfortunate for him that he signed a 3-year by $3.5 million contract a couple of years ago. Then after that power play, there's a fight. O'Brien fights an LA player, and then they go to commercial break. They come back from commercial break, and another fight where Travis Barron fights a Kings player, Studnicka, I believe. That Barron fight was so much better than the O'Brien fight. I love O'Brien because he never backs down from a challenge. He'll always fight, but his fights, he's usually on the other end of the outcomes of fights, but this Barron fight, Barron just fed this guy his lunch. An underrated Tucson player, a depth role guy in Tucson playing third line or fourth line, but a great fight by Travis Barron. The crowd was way into it. They loved it. Everyone on their feet. What's funny is because the jerseys are sort of unavailable and they just really announced this team 5 months ago, and the merch, maybe people didn't get to the merch in time. Everyone's just wearing street clothes, and it reminds me of the black and white hockey days. When you watch replays of hockey in when's black and white? 30s to 40s, 50s. I'm sure that's black and white. The footage, the people in the crowd are just wearing street clothes. They're not all wearing jerseys like nowadays where it's like a wave of the home team color. So that was interesting. As a fan who's never been a fan of a brand new franchise, pretty interesting to see everybody in street clothes. There's not that uniform color that you expect to see from the home crowd. Moving on after that fight with Barron, Utah goes back on the power play and they score again. Kerfoot from Michelli and Dursey. So Michelli and Dursey already with 2 points in the first period. This was electric. They're up 2-0. They end the first period. They outshoot LA 8-7. It took them like maybe 5 minutes to get into the game, but then Utah really showed that they had a better lineup than the Kings. But in the second period, things start to fall off. Although their first 2 shifts, 5-on-5, Utah was all over it against the Kings. They were in the O zone with sustained pressure for 2 full shifts. They were able to get a 5-on-5 shift change while still maintaining possession of the puck in the offensive zone. And then something just happened where the Kings maybe outplayed Utah, or Utah got tired, or maybe they just got overconfident and they just expected they would win this game. That's what happens when you have an early lead in hockey. You kind of get complacent. You think you're just going to win this game sleepwalking. No, you have to earn every hockey win, especially even if it's preseason. You got to earn that win. I felt like maybe the first line of Keller, Schmaltz, and Hayden, maybe a bit too creative, a bit too skillful, a bit too cute, maybe overpassing it a bit much, whereas the other lines of Utah were playing that simple, aggressive forecheck, drive the net, put the puck in deep, throw pucks on net, crash the net. The first line likes to do their little thing. It's a preseason. It usually works in the NHL regular season, but for this game, maybe because it's our first game, they literally just started practicing like 5 days ago. So they got to work that chemistry back, and I'm sure it'll come back by the time it's game 1 of 81. But talking about this second period, LA scores to make it 2-1. It was a rebound off a screen shot from the point. Ingram couldn't get his own rebound. He reacted to the shot very late, which is why the rebound went straight to the LA player. So he was screened, too many bodies in front of Ingram. Then Ingram has to make a huge save, like a cross-crease toe save on a 2-on-1. Some bad defensive breakdowns this game I saw as well. That's why I really don't like watching preseason, because they're not ready. They're not the full final product. Everyone's trying to just learn how to play hockey again in a full 60 minutes in a highly competitive environment. It takes a while. That's why the preseason is 2 weeks long, which I agree, it is long in the NHL. After that big save by Ingram, Utah goes on a penalty kill, 5-on-3, and even on that 5-on-3, Stenlund had a broken stick, so it's really a 5-on-2, and they managed to kill it off until the last second when LA scores to tie it up 2-2. Utah finishes the period with back-to-back power plays, and they fail at both attempts. The power play in the first period looked exceptional, and then in the second period, they were struggling, couldn't maintain offensive possession, sustained power play pressure. It was a struggle for them to even enter the zone and gain possession and set up the plays. So they move on from the second period. They're outshot 13-8 in the second. We go into third. Vialta comes in for Ingram. Another reason why I don't like preseason, they change goalies randomly. Maybe it's the halfway point of the game. Maybe a goalie plays 1 period and the other goalie plays 2 periods. You know, it's not real NHL regular season hockey. In the third period, Utah's a bit better than the Kings, but it is such a struggle for Utah to create high danger chances 5-on-5 in this game. On the power play, like I mentioned in the first period, it was coming so easy to them. They had so many chances, including the 2 goals. Another big save Vialta had to make. It was like a breakaway on a defensive breakdown where he had to make a clutch blocker save. Another kick leg save he had to make. It was kind of even near the end of the third period. Both teams just waiting for overtime, it felt like. Utah was outshot 9-6 in the third period, and then we go into overtime and it's over in 20 seconds. Clayton Keller, the pseudo captain, people think he's the captain, he scores. One of our best players for Utah scores off a goalie turnover, a brutal clear by the rookie goalie who plays in the Ontario Hockey League in junior. He's playing in the NHL preseason. A bad turnover. Keller snipes it down low, 5-hole-ish, and they win 3-2, an unassisted overtime goal. So how was the game? I thought, obviously, with the outmatched roster Utah had over LA, they probably should have won this game like 6-2, if anything. But it was a struggle for Utah. I'm not worried. Like I said, training camp started 5 days ago. They won the game. LA put up a great fight, and you move on and you learn every day and get better. Cooley and Gunther weren't playing in this game. They're on the other squad that played against St. Louis in Iowa on Sunday night. Utah was outshot 29-23. They were 2 for 4 on the power play, 1 for 2 on the PK, and 36% on the faceoff circle. Classic Andre Tourigny, lower than 25 shots on goal. That's bad. Power play, amazing, 50%. You're going to take that home every day. But the faceoffs, 36%. It's not good, and it hasn't been good since Andre Tourigny has took over this franchise. I know it's preseason. I won't get ahead of myself, but it's just interesting how the shots on goal and the faceoffs were pretty bad, and it's usually pretty bad. So I'm expecting those statistics to be better with a full lineup, full weeks of practice, and some reps, and they just get it going here. But it was a great game. I'm sure all Utah fans love the game. You get to see 2 fights, some nice power play goals, big saves, an overtime goal to win it and celebrate. The broadcast team was great. Matt McConnell made it such an easy transition for me, and I'm sure any Coyotes fans who are following the team. Hearing a familiar voice was really easy and just brought a smile to my face. Even seeing the players' names on their jerseys, their faces, it became very familiar, and it was a sigh of relief to just watch hockey. And it is funny how many times Matt McConnell called Utah the Coyotes, and he even called his partner, analyst, color guy, Dominic Moore, he called him Tyson, I think for sure once, maybe twice. So the broadcast team, or maybe just Matt McConnell getting the cobwebs out. For me, I don't think I've misspoken by saying the Coyotes yet, and it's been a very long time, but I don't watch every second of my videos, so maybe I have. It's just a force of habit. So that's it for me. Thanks for watching. If you like what you see, spread the word. And as always, thank you for your support.